Hi friends, in this video I'll tell you about the rise and fall of Zoomcar, India's only number one self-drive car rental company. Zoomcar started in 2012-2013 with Greg Moran and David Back. At that time, there was no pure play self-drive companies in India. There were self-drive businesses. I will tell you about them. For example, there was Avis, there was Cars on Rent India franchisee, that is Hertz India franchisee Cars on Rent, and there was a few other players. But then they were very strict. For example, you had to have a credit card to be able to rent a car on self-drive. You had to have a driving license which is a couple of years old. So they had a fairly high charges, and there was, because of this evaluation criteria, because people had to have a credit card, so only few people used to rent on self-drive. The concept of self-drive was not very popular. Everybody would have simply rented a chauffeur-driven taxi for their travel needs. But then Zoomcar came into picture. They changed the landscape. They started giving cars um, on self-drive rental for everybody without so much of restrictions like credit card and other things. And it kind of evolutionized the market. There are so many individuals, college students started checking out the self-drive business. But then there were a couple of fundamental challenges. The other companies, Avis, Hertz, they had both a chauffeur-driven taxi rental and self-drive. So, if self-drive business was not coming up, they would still get their money every day from the regular taxi rentals. People needing airport drop, corporate executives needing a taxi for their city travel, and things like that. So they were doing fine, and they were not scaling exponentially beyond their means. So they had a very limited number of cars, they were operating in a limited number of cities, and they were doing overall fine. But then once Zoomcar came in, they grew exponentially without worrying about profitability all around India to multiple cities, hundreds and thousands of cars. All these cars were bought on loan, so they had to pay the EMI, they had to pay insurance, they had to pay tax, they had to pay for their staff, and so many other expenses. But then the self-drive model had a fundamental problem. The demand is very limited, right? Nobody would rent a self-drive car just to go to office and come back. So the need for self-drive cars were only on the weekends and on long weekends or holidays mostly, right? So out of 365 days in a year, probably the demand was like 52 weekends, that is 100 and odd days and a couple of holidays. So 120, 125 days there was a good demand. Remaining 200 to 40 days, the cars would probably lie idle without generating much revenue for the company. And there is a limit how much Zoomcar could charge a customer, right? So they did try charging little more profit, weekends, all of that. But then beyond the mean, people had other options. Like if a self-drive rental is too expensive, I will go for a regular chauffeur-driven taxi, or I can take a bus or train to the destination and hire a taxi locally, or two of us can go on two bikes instead of one car. So people had options. So Zoomcar cannot, despite having a dominance in the market, they could not command a premium to be profitable in this business. So even after like 10 years in the business, Zoomcar is still not profitable, and that is hurting them hard. COVID hurt them very hard. Now I think all their cars are taken back by the people who had given loans. Now they don't own a single car. So they did try multiple means in between. For example, they tried the subscription model where I would pay a fixed rent on a monthly basis to Zoomcar, and then I could list it on their platform. Somebody else who wants it for a weekend or a few days, they would rent it, right? That model also failed because of multiple limitations. They had a usage limit, who will pay for what was limited. If there is a damage, if there is issues, again the resolution was delayed. You have to commit for 12 months, 24-month subscription, and there is no guarantee that your service will be good. So the subscription model was also eventually pulled off. After COVID, when they could not pay the loans, I think most of their cars were taken back by the people who had loaned money to buy these cars. So now they don't own a single car. So they have pivoted to a new model of marketplace, or being an asset light model, where the individuals who own a car are listing their cars on Zoomcar platform, and Zoomcar gives it on rental to customers who want to take a self-drive car. But this model is illegal in India. You cannot rent a whiteboard car for commercial purposes. Zoomcar says they have some private lease, personal lease, whatever, but they have no approval, they have no document to prove that, and there are so many flaws in this model. If you own a car, you have a couple of people to monitor them, take care of them, you can give very good service to customers. But then Zoomcar doesn't own any car, they just rely on everything to go fine. But then hosts or people who are given their cars, they are also affected. Customers who are renting the car, they are also affected. I'll tell you how, right? If I own a car, if I have listed it on Zoomcar and Zoomcar customers are taking it, I want my car in a good condition. Any small damage, I want it to be fixed. But Zoomcar doesn't have money to fix all those damages. They keep saying this is a minor damage, wait for 5 more such damages. Or vehicle spends months and months in garage and Zoomcar is not paying the garage, the car is not fixed. Hosts are not paid on time properly, their disputes, their concerns are not resolved, so they are pulling back their car. They are not giving their cars to Zoomcar customers. Zoomcar has a tracker device that is draining car's battery. 2 days if you don't start your car, the battery dries and you have to buy a new battery and it is or jump started, which is again a financial strain on the hosts. So this problem Zoomcar is not able to resolve. On the customer side, Zoomcar doesn't have a real-time inventory management, or so it looks like. So you will book a car months in advance, weeks in advance, but they will do the allocation only 4 hours in advance. And if you get a car, you are lucky. A lot of times they don't have a car, your booking is simply cancelled. A lot of times people book a SUV, they get a sedan. People book a 7-seater, they get a 5-seater. They book a automatic, they get manual. They get a car in very pathetic condition that is not drivable. So Zoomcar has no process to resolve these kind of issues, scenarios, and the customers are terribly upset, right? On the other side, hosts are also upset because their cars are getting damaged, people are stealing tires, other things. Zoomcar has no process to compensate them. They don't have a process to monitor all these things because they're trying to automate everything. Well, in a car rental business, that doesn't work. There are so many things systems or software cannot check. Somebody has to be physically there to inspect and check, but without a person being available while giving a car for delivery or taking it back, both every stakeholder is trying to game the system and maximize their revenues. And as a Zoomcar, as a platform, they have absolutely, looks like they are in a financial stress where they don't have enough team members, they don't have enough people to support, they don't have enough offices, they have no money. So they're trying to survive with what they have, and it is affecting the whole self-drive rental business. At least that is the sense I could get from all the Twitter complaints I could see. You just run through Zoomcar in Twitter and you will see hundreds of customers, hosts complaining, and Zoomcar Twitter bot giving some template reply saying we'll get back to you, we'll get back to you. But nothing seems to be working. If you're lucky, yeah, everything goes fine, but otherwise your booking is ruined, your money is gone, and both customers and hosts are upset. Recently, Zoomcar went for a listing in USA through a special purpose investment model, and we have to see how it goes. They're trying to expand in across the world, Egypt, Indonesia, Philippines, so many places, without resolving the core problem, without resolving being profitable in their home market. So we have to see how it works. So all the best for them. Let us see, and do share your thoughts. Thank you.